Sound resumed.
Hi there. Happy Halloween, everyone.
And joining us here. Sorry for those who are listening. I had forgot to unmute it. So once again, welcome to the Pipe Review Show. This is episode number 24. We're just going to go into a build that was submitted by CovertTiger here, who happens to have the new Vomph. So, what's your goal here that you have with this ship here, Covert?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I have a lot of trouble actually focusing on a particular goal, but I guess I'm aiming to try and get my DPS up a bit.
Okay. That's one of the things. I mean, especially when you're running a big cruiser like this ship happens to be, it is you have to really know how to work them to make them turn right. And Timber is probably one of the best ones for getting the ship to turn because this has got a similar layout to his Odyssey build in a lot of ways. He'll be joining us here in a little bit. He's just got to take care of some personal issues before he comes and joins us on the show here. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started on the video here. This is a pug run. So I probably should have gave you a session so you can be able to watch this. Are you watching it via the stream here?
Let me see if I can get it pulled up real quick.
Okay, no worries. Give a couple minutes on that. That way I can at least point out to some spots on there that you can look at and realize and see some of the positions, because I've had to send you some sort of connection issues so you can see what I see, which is my mistake.
Yeah, I think there will probably be like a couple seconds delay, but
yeah, it should be. I think Twitch and it's either Twitch or YouTube you can go to. I can give those links if you need.
I think I've got the YouTube. There we go.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Okay, I've got it pulled up.
Perfect. There we go. So yeah, there's gonna be a little bit of delay, but that's all right. We can work with it. I can pause it as I need to. Put up some things here. But a couple things I'm seeing. First off, I mean, we haven't even started here. Have you thought about putting your hangar bays into your tray so that you have easy access, so you don't have to go and click on them each time you need to, because your pets is going to die. And
yeah, they're particularly bad about that, especially in this match. I think I had a couple of explosions that basically wiped all of them out.
yeah, so that's one of the things that I try and do, and when I run carriers especially, is I try and load the hangar bays into the tray bars so that I can at least have a quick access to them. That way I can just say like 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2 constantly, because that's my first priority. Is I try to make sure that my pets are always loaded, not just waiting to be used or having to click it with the finger type thing. So that may be something to consider that you might want to look at. That might help you out a little bit more, so you don't have to use the mouse and get distracted. You just look down and say, "Oh, I need more pets," and you just hit the two keys that goes along with it. Um, so here we go here, and for those who are wondering, the videos will be linked in later on once we get this uploaded here. So, and if quality is not the best, I do apologize. It's probably my computer. This is actually my backup computer that we're running off of here. And it just skipped ahead a few seconds in it.
I also had to film it at like half size for my computer to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Or it might be me too.
Yeah, so it could be a combination of things. So I do apologize about the quality. I have to take a look at it on my actual desktop and see how it looks on there, but my desktop's in the shop getting work done. So you might want to figure out how to get the turn rate up on this ship here, and we'll look at your gear that you have and what you can throw in there in place, because you want to get to a point where you can run in and do a sliding action of shooting. And
Yeah, I've seen some of those crazy power slides Timberwolf pull.
yeah, you want to be doing stuff like that. So we'll get you some of those tricks. I mean, some of the tricks includes bumping yourself up into the impulse, and then you just go in sliding as you do it. So I'm sorry, my connection is really off today, amongst other things. So what is going on with my connection today? It's like 25 seconds. It's been stopping to load for some reason. Either this is do have to apologize to people. And I think I know half the reason why some of the things is going on.
Fortunately, whenever I was playing this, actually that, so
Yeah.
we had a few instances months ago. Like,
So yeah, this is kind of annoying because what's going on here for me, in case anyone out there is not noticing, is I'm getting this little spinning circle every so often, and when it gets out of that spinning circle, it suddenly is showing what's going on. And man, I do have to say I love that ship. I do plan on getting one, just not right now. Well, maybe right now, maybe later on today I'll try and get one. It's just got slow turn. It's one of those, it turns like a brick going through water.
yeah,
Which is the unfortunate scenario of things, and kind of how sometimes it goes. And I see a little slowness there going around. At least you're changing targets instead of focusing on the gateway there. And Pugs is kind of slow because of the fact that you don't necessarily have people focusing on the same things you are. In this case here, it looks like you got one person that's dead and coming back in the water. There's only 3 other players in this run instead of 4. Are those the swarmers that you're using there? Or are those the
no, those are just
the bottom raiders? Okay.
What they're called.
Yeah, the bottom raiders. So, see, like right here is a great position that you have here because you got all your weapons hitting them at the same time. That's kind of how you want it to be as often as you can be, especially when you're using a beam ray build. And then you just kind of turn around slightly to use your torpedo spread and perfect setup right there. If you had the torpedo spread that was up and ready. Um, and you probably could have been focusing a little more on the sides. And I think your issue that you might have is you might have a better chance having a planned run where you have people who know exactly what they're going to be doing. Fortunately, you can't always get that with a pug run like this. You're an
Yeah, we'll get somebody drop out exactly when.
Yeah, because we plan like we tell each other when we're going to do stuff, when we're going to plan to do it. It looks like you're an engineer in this.
Yeah, I'm running it. Probably my most help here in the game.
Okay, getting a little breakup on you. Let me see if it's you or me.
I apologize. I'm getting a little dispersion, so.
Yeah. And it could just be me just getting some packet loss error. Like I said, I am running not on my typical machine here, so I have to apologize to everyone for this particular stream on this case here
User
because of that
joined your
reason.
channel.
But overall, and once again, it looks like it's going to stall up here in the video, which is kind of annoying. I'll do some more review on it later on and give you some tips and pointers. But from the biggest thing that you need to be worrying about is every time you're running this ship build is
User left your channel.
you definitely need to be making sure that you're hitting your sides very often with the ship, because otherwise, if you aren't, you end up losing a couple weapons in the aft that you don't want to be losing as a result of that. So that's the biggest thing. The other thing is when you turn in, you want to make sure that you're hitting torpedo spread and you're launching that at the same time. You might be able to get away in this ship here to use an aux to bat build and just go with one copy of each and have it up and ready almost instantaneous. So okay, let's take a look at your ship build here. And for those who are looking at this, you might be saying, hey, wait a second, that's the Narcine, that's not the Vomph. That is because the Vomph has not yet been put into the Academy yet. So there's going to be a little bit of time before the Vomph shows up its way in there. So just give it time and it will eventually show up. And the bridge officer is the bridge officer seating is a little bit differently. We'll have him give us an explanation of what he's got other than what we see here. So a lot of the stuff I'm seeing, looks like you're still in the process of upgrading stuff. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, I'm still working on getting it upgraded.
Okay, because I see some 13s and I see some 14s in there. What's your third science console that you have here?
That's the temporal disentanglement suit.
Okay.
Couldn't find that one in the actual consoles whenever I was trying to get this, but
yeah, it is in there. So, no worries. That's at least Mark 12. Have you upgraded that to Mark 13 or yet?
no, it's still Mark 12.
Okay. Have someone later on. I'll link you a copy of what it looks like. If I'm thinking right, there's not a huge awesome reason to get it up to 14 or even up to epic level, sadly. So that may
Yeah, the stats that it was listing, I think the only thing that would actually get boost field capacity.
yeah. which isn't like an overwhelming, oh, I gotta do this type thing. It's one of those, mm, okay, seriously, because there's many other ways of boosting shield capacity without increasing that console, and the amount that console increases isn't going to be giving you super awful god powers type stuff. Um, so anti-proton weapons, you got the full three-piece Iconian set. Um, is there a reason you're not using the four-piece?
I don't have the warp core yet.
Okay, that explains that. That's not a problem. It's one of those things you can work on. You can keep using the fleet one even after you get the warp core until you get that up to the ultra rare status, um, and you'll be just fine on that. It's not like you. I mean, you need the amp more than anything else because of what the power is going to give you as far as damage boost and such. So that'd be one of those things that as you build it up, you'll get there. Um, One of the first things that I would work on if I was you to give you a little bit of something to focus on here. I assume this Epic console here, is that an actual EPS flow regulator or is that the RCS one?
Unfortunately, that's just the standard EPS one.
Okay. No worries. That's actually a good console to have either way. Um, you might look at considering replacing like the Bio Neural with the RCS conducive and focus on getting the EPS one, the EPS version of that console. Um, I would just be farming the lithium all day long and crafting them. It's the best way to do it, really.
Yeah,
Um,
I've tried that several times. I just haven't gotten lucky with that.
yeah, the best thing that you need to do, and this is one of those tricks that for everyone out there, um, you want to be doing pretty much 5 to 6 crafts at a time at a single time with enough duty officers obviously to make that work. So you need to be doing 5 or 6 at a time, one after the next, so that you can eventually get the lucky hit on it to make it actually go through. So that'd be something you can work on, and if I mean it'll take some time. It's not one of those it's going to show up like tomorrow type thing. You might get lucky and it shows up as you are crafting, but it's it, it's unfortunate that you can't choose the mod that you want to focus on, and it gives you a chance of like that or one other one that um, is there, but it is what it is. Hopefully we'll fix that later on down the road. But so beyond working on that and just crafting it, because even if you don't get it and you get a ultra rare mod, you can sell it, make some money, and build your way up to the amount that it takes for the EPS consoles, depending on what how many has been made from that time on. So beyond that, what I'd recommend doing for you for your build, if are your all your weapons Mark 11?
I did manage to get one up to Mark 12 last night, but
Okay. I would focus the bulk of your the lithium grind and upgrading routine of things on getting your weapons up to Mark 14. Okay. The reason I say this is upgrading it up to 12 or 14 at the least is going to increase your DPS by probably 5 to um, 20 DPS, 5 to 20k DPS at a shot. So that's one of those things that I would highly recommend doing first off. That way your weapons will be fully powered. That after you get those up to Mark 14, then focus on getting your consoles all up to 14, and then epic out those TAC consoles. So you're working your TAC consoles first, epic those out. Once those are all epicked out, um, and then you can focus on your other stuff and getting those up as you need to. You don't necessarily have to epic out your weapons unless you really want to for the extra damage boost that they get at the end. It does help. So there's no doubt on that it won't help because it will. Um, So that's one of those things to be looking at there as far as your ship layout, and then obviously upgrading everything up to 14. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some grinding. Um, but if you have, even if you have the three, um, if you have your three free off captains, then you'll be able to work on that from that point in that stance, and eventually you'll get enough because that's 24,000 dilithium a day that you can grind out if you can get them to a point where they can help grind that dilithium that you need um, to be able to do that stuff. So that's one of those things you'll be working on, and that's 100,000 a week that you'll get in about 10 weeks if you are getting the full 8K a day for each three captains. You probably have everything taken care of quite fast. And the best things I can recommend is be hitting up the DOF system and the new Admiralty system because those are giving a lot of dilithium and a lot of experience points. Um, so the sooner you can hit
Yeah,
on
I've got to
those,
say that Admiralty system
yes,
edition.
it's definitely going to help out people getting up and leveling up fast. So that'd be a couple things you want to make sure that you're using and utilizing. Um, and that's going to make things that much easier for you to be able to accomplish what you are looking to accomplish with it. Um, and that should help out with getting your full 8K a day and those three captains that you're looking to get. Um, so, um, what is the exact bridge officer layout that you have right now? Do you know offhand?
I've actually got it pulled up right now.
Okay.
So the ship comes with a tactical.
It's got a lieutenant tactical officer spot, if I remember right, doesn't it? Or is it a command
Sorry,
tactical?
what?
The the commander spot, is that tactical or is it engineer?
Yeah, commander spot's tactical.
Okay. And then
Get a universal lieutenant commander dash command,
okay.
and then to engineering dash intel, and then lieutenant commander science.
So lieutenant commander science. So you have gravity wells on there that you could be utilizing.
At the moment, I've got hazard emitters 3. Although that's kind of something that kind of scratching my head on, trying to determine what I needed to put in there.
I'll tell you what I use most of the time. If I can get a gravity well in there, I throw gravity well in there because man, that lines up a torpedo spread perfectly. I don't know any better way to put it. It makes a torpedo spread that much better to use and utilize. Um, I'm thinking what you can end up doing with that kind of a setup. Um, it, the fifth spot is it an ensign tactical as well, or is it a lieutenant tactical?
Uh, Fifth spot. It's the ensign's a universal. So
Okay. Let's see here. There it is. Give me a moment, just pulling up the ship stats real quick right now myself.
okay.
So, one of the things that I would do on this ship here, um, if I was to set this up here, yeah, so it's Lieutenant Commander, or Commander Tactical, Lieutenant Engineering slash Intel. Lieutenant Commander Science, 1 Ensign Universal, and Lieutenant Commander Universal Command. So there's a couple different ways you can go about on this ship setup and design. Um, so I will write this all out for you, so you don't have to memorize and remember it all. So the commander task goal, I'd probably almost leave it perfectly as you have it right now. Um, the lieutenant engineering slash intel, I would probably have excuse me, missionally powered weapons 1 on it with OSS 2. Excuse me. So with the OSS 2 on that, lieutenant engineering, and then lieutenant commander science, I would personally do it would be the hazard emitters 1, destabilizing resonance 1 on it for the lieutenant spot, and then in the third spot, in the lieutenant commander spot, I would put the gravity wells on it. Now you might have to change your stats. I have to take a look at your stats to see what you have.
Yeah, I'll probably have to make some adjustments.
Yeah, do you happen to have any respect tokens available that you can use for that?
It shouldn't be too difficult to get a hold of one.
Okay, perfect. I'll give you an idea of what I use currently in my setup. Because fortunately, with all the different things that's going on lately, it's not that difficult to make up for the lack of stats that's going on. But you can definitely make use out of the gravity wells. So you would have to definitely change around some of the specs here. Let's see. Still, excuse me a moment here. I'm just going to log in here and see if my build that I have. It's not going to be exactly the same because it's a different ship, but the skills is what I pull from. So that's the biggest thing here that I would be looking at. Crane Warship. That's my debuff layout. Got too many Crane Warship builds. And where are you at? And that might be it. But what you can be using is use that Universal Lieutenant Commander spot as a tactical spot. Put torpedo spread 3 on it with a second attack pattern beta, and then the last open spot would be your tactical team 1. Yeah, I think this might be it. This is very close, very similar to the exact same setup, honestly, but this is used more of an Oxabat setup with utilizing the pilot skills, which unfortunately these ships don't have. But let's see here. That's not the skill layout that I use anymore. I got way too many. Let's see. One of these here is going to have the setup that I want. Was that the right one? Yeah, there's the Oxbat one. This is more or less my build that I use now. And you notice how I have like grav gens and part gens maxed out on this. That's gonna make it so that your gravity wells is getting the most out of it. And we might be able to, let's let's see here. Can even drop a couple of these down a point or two to get the ship maneuvers up to maxed out. The ship maneuvers is going to help you out, but let's take a look at your build. Yeah, ship maneuvers is up high enough, that's fine. For the most part, it's just going to be a couple adjustments that you'll need to do on this to get it upright. But I'll give you the ship link here, so that you can look at the skills that I have there. The skills is the biggest thing to utilize on that. But it's also set up to make use out of the Oxabat's type setup, so you can naturally switch to an Oxabat, a more Oxabat layout if you wanted to, and just use like you can use a single attack pattern beta 3, and then use fall 3 and torpedo spread 2 with tactical team 1, and then use that universal lieutenant commander spot for one of your Oxabats, Oxabat 1s, with your well, in this case here, I'd probably put both the Oxabats on that lieutenant commander spot. That way you can still keep OSS 2 on there, because you want to keep your OSS 2 because it's plus like 30 to 40 power to everything on it. The only side effect of OSS is that when it wears off, it shuts some system down. Yeah. Which if it happens to shut Ox down, it's easy to counter. Most of them are easy to counter. You can use a battery if you got the right one ready to use and utilize for that. But it shouldn't be too hard to go on and do that. So, but I think that will help out with that. Let's take a look at what you got here. So you got your primary command and secondary pilot. Are you working on your intel?
Yeah, I have been. I've kind of been a little scattered as far as how I've been working on it.
Okay. So what I would recommend, what I use actually currently right now is this. I use the primary as intel, and then the secondary is command. The command secondary is only so for the extra damage that it gives for the torpedoes. So my torpedoes is giving the biggest damage ratio that it can. You can make the secondary pilot as well, and get advantage out of the rock and roll and some of the other pilot boost that you can get out of it. Those are definitely going to be helpful either way it goes. It's really up to you as far as what your secondary becomes, if you want to focus more on the ship, or if you wanted to focus more on the torpedo damage boost that you can get out of it. So that's something there that you can look at there. Let's see your traits here. You are missing. You haven't got the point blank shots yet.
Actually, I think I do. I may not have updated that.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot to update.
No worries. What you probably can do, I believe the accuracy.
Yeah, I think I ended up putting it in that first slot there, so that was where accuracy was.
Yeah, so you can put the accuracy with the point blank, and then the other thing you can do is the elusive. You can utilize the trait that you get when you get your level 15 torpedo R&D done.
User joined your channel.
Yeah, I believe, let's see what it is. But you can definitely make use out of that. The kinetic precision, yep. So you can replace the elusive with that, and that will be just fine. Another thing that I do personally on a Blade of Shell You can probably get away with dropping the efficient captain and put the particle manipulator in place of the um, efficient captain in there instead, and make up for it with a
User
utilization
disconnected from your
of
channel.
utilization of a bridge officer that can give you that efficient trait if you find yourself needing it. But as an engineer, you really don't need it because you got the EPS skill that you can utilize and trigger that will make it that much nicer for you. Are you doing the world travel enough? Because if I remember right, that trait is only effective while you've after you've done it immediately after. I don't remember that sticking after it's done.
Honestly, that's the only one that I've got in that slot. So
Yeah, it's not a major thing. I mean, it's just one of those things that's just to be aware of. Is I don't think I think it goes away. I think it's a time trait. I don't think it's one of those that sticks around.
yeah, it may not. I'm not sure.
Let's see, all hands on deck. Weapon cycle, good. Battle ready, and reciprocity. So those are all good on that aspect of things.
I did have a quick question.
Okay.
The trait that comes with the ship, what do you think of that?
So you're
Or have
talking.
you had a chance to read up on that?
Yeah, you're talking about the peak efficiency trait. Um, let's see. While the starship trait is slotted every few seconds, all of you recharging bridge officer abilities will have the remaining recharge reduced by a small amount if your hull strength is at or above 80%. So that could have a very good benefit, but you have to keep your hull above 80% for that to trigger and go off. How much is that small amount is the question. Um,
Let's see, it's minus 7.5% recharge time, but
so,
it's capped at like once every 5 seconds.
yeah. So I mean that could help out with things, and you could get your stuff going off, and you might not need to use an oxabat, or you can maybe get away with like one oxabat. No, you don't want to go full oxabat even if you did that. Uh, you might be able to get away with not doing oxabat on that kind of setup, simply because of the fact that it would help out, but you would have to not be the focus target and be able to keep up above 80% in most of the runs that you do. So
Yeah,
you
I
see
was
the
finding
difficulty
that
that has.
trick.
You see the difficulty that has. I mean, unless you happen to, I mean, you're an engineer, so you got the miracle worker that you can be throwing up there, and that will get you up there, back up there into the high percentage level of things. But it's one of those things that you want to do a way on that. Now, if you have got access to it, one trait that is shown very useful, especially for shield heals, if you can get a hold of the bottom raiders ship trait, which is the lobby ship one, that's the easiest one to get a hold of. The waylay is especially for a Fed officer, is proving to be as good or better than the Valdor console is. So you can use that in place of like the battle ready, but that's 900 lobby or 100 plus million right now.
Yep.
So it's one of those if you have the ability to get a hold of it, definitely is a good option because of what it has and what it can offer. So that'd be something you can look at doing there on that aspect of things, and that should help out for that. Have you got your 5th space reps in Starship trait yet?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, those I believe I even have it open at my Starbase. I can as soon as I get in game, and after we get done here, I can invite you in to to do it if I got
Well,
if I
part of
got
it's just the resources at the moment.
yeah, because it is like 100,000 fleet credit and 25,000 dilithium. Um, but I would recommend getting a hold of those when you can, because then what you can use, there's the um, it's the Iconian one for the engine. It's like advanced engine, yeah, advanced engines here. Use that, and that'll help out with your turn rate on this ship as well. So that'd be one of those other tricks that you can utilize. Um, like I said, some of the things that I was talking about, you you bump your ship, so you get your ship up to full speed, and then you bump it into impulse for a second or so, just to kind of tap it up and tap it off, um, so that it boosts your head, so you get the massive turn. That's how I do it with my scimitar. My scimitar, I can get it going sideways, and as I shoot the cube down, um, and I'm completely sideways and drifting during that entire course of action. And then using evasive, um, you could if you find yourself able and capable of utilizing it, you can make use out of a emergency powder weapon, or not emergency powder weapon, emergency powder engine um, on there, and that will be like an evasive maneuver. Or the other option you have is you can get a deuterium surplus, which will be the same equivalency. And those will help you to turn and get from one side to the next very fast, and that should help you out as far as what you can do in game. Um, so that should help you out on that aspect of things here. Um, Later on, once you can get that fifth traits on those, so that's one of those things to look forward to. Let's see, duty officers, 50% chance to reduce beam attack cooldown by 10 seconds. Cool, we got two of those. Increase RSP, uptime, and then 2 dev labs for science cooldowns. And then a flight deck officer to reduce hangar cooldown time. Do you find yourself needing to reduce the hangar cooldown on this ship without them? Without that duty officer?
Honestly, that was just kind of something I threw in there because I wasn't sure what else to drop in there.
Okay. One of the things you can use, and this will be probably beneficial as well. I mean, there's a couple different ways you can go about doing this, um, and you can do all this without spending the crazy 300, 100,000, 100 million EC to get some of the stuff. But you might look at dropping that one and getting a hold of a was it the engineering? It's one of the engineering officers. I'll get a hold of the name of it, but there's a engineering officer that you can get from the duty officer system, where you can use it, and it will, when you use your any emergency powers, when you use it on one, it won't just increase the one by itself, it'll increase all your energy powers at the same time. So
let's see, you're talking about a
damage control officer, I believe it is.
core engineer, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. It's in the, but if you go down to the academy and talk to the duty officer guy, he's actually got some. He's got this same officers that you can get for free. So you get one of them, and that's all you need is one, really. Your bridge officers, SRO, perfect. And then the efficiency engineering officer, great, and then 2 pirates. That's perfect. A lot of people don't end up getting this Nausicaan engineer which I always have to question why they didn't get it, but you have it, which is perfect. Now, if you happen to be using and you don't know what to use that uh, engineer, the instant engineer, you could, and you find yourself not needing two emergency powers because you're yeah, it's a warp core engineer. I think you're Tron. So it's the warp core officer that you want to be getting is warp core engineer. That's the one that's going to increase all your power levels when you're using it, one of the emergency powers. So it's one of the benefits of having those guys. But you could drop that incident engineer for an instant tactical and get yourself some more damage boost from your bridge officers. Not necessary, to be honest. You can get away without it and be just fine. In fact, I think you can find yourself in your setup right now with your bridge officers just getting the right abilities on them and the right spots used up. You can probably turn this boat into a very decent 50k to 50k to 80k setup on that. See, wide angle quantum torpedo. Have you thought about getting a hold of like a neutronic torpedo or even the bioneural, the enhanced bioneural torpedo? Those are both reps.
I actually have both of those.
Okay. The if you and this is one of the beauty things about those. I actually have and use the neutronic torpedo myself, and it does fairly decently on that aspect of things. It only requires your flow caps to be maxed out for it to do its ultimate damage because a lot of it is doing draining. So if you got your flow caps maxed out for your leech, obviously, which you have, you should find yourself doing very good with a neutronic torpedo as well. And then you can switch it up between the enhanced and the neutronic and using torpedo spread and high yield. High yield is very good on unshielded targets. Torpedo spread is very good with the neutronic. You can shielded targets, and you can, if you watch some of us higher DPS guys, you'll see a lot of us that's watching a group of spears disappear from a torpedo spread with a neutronic as a result. So that's one of those things that you can look at there. So I will definitely get you a list of that, and I'll include it here with this video once I get that list created here on some duty officers that you can do this a little bit better than this. You might look at also adding in a couple of the newer tactical officers, which are, when you're doing certain things, is increasing your crit sev or crit chance. The ones I would recommend is the crit chance ones because of the fact that they would make your crit chance go up, and the higher that goes up and get it up into the 25 to 30 range, then you're going to be critting more often as a result of that. You're talking essentially one out of every 4 times it will crit, and then as long as you got your crit sev going on, you'll be able to make utilization out of that. One other aspect that you have, one other option I should say that you have, is you could be switching from a crit D weapon build to a damage build, and that damage build could work out very well for you as well. So that's one of those things that you can be looking at and utilizing on that aspect of things. So any questions you have for me right now?
You mentioned adding in a conductive RCS console. Since I'm not able to get a hold of the EPS one at the moment, is there another mod that would work?
Unfortunately, the mod that would work is a part gen, and that's pretty expensive. You could utilize almost any of the other mods. You can make use out of a free one. Because really what you want the RCS one, besides just that EPS mod, is the extra turn that it gives you. because it gives you a little bit extra turn. And on this ship, you want to be able to turn your ship faster so you can broadside better with. Okay, um, that is one of the reasons why I suggest taking out the Bioneural for the RCS instead, so that you can have that extra turn rate to go along with the tachyonic converter, which has turn on it as well. So you want to squeeze as much turn that you can into it, which is from those two consoles should be enough to help you out with that side of things. I just thought of something. What is this console on this ship? This is the Oblivion Gateway. Oh yeah, that's yeah. But it has a passive boost, exotic damage, which could help out your gravels. I think it's what, a 7% passive boost that it does to it, or something like that.
Let me see. You're talking about the console that came.
Yeah, the Oblivion Gateway module.
Plus 6%
Plus
exotic
6.
damage.
So that could be fairly significant on that aspect of things. So that might not be a bad option to go with as well. So that's one of those things to consider and look at later on down the road, as you just had to go with. So Tron here is saying that the Part G RCS right now is 3.3 million. The EPS one is 90 million. That's surprising that Part Gen would be so cheap, to be honest. Part Gen is a very good option to go with, because of the fact that it will make your gravity wells and any science abilities work a little bit better that uses that Part Gens. So that'd be an option that you can go with. You can also go with a Grav Gen. I believe it's a mod that I can go with, but I'm not 100% positive on that right now. I think you can get a lot of the mods, but I don't remember if GravGen was part that it can get on it. I don't think it is, though. But so that's an option that you have with, is going with the Part Gen one, and that will be a good alternative. And you can even stick with that instead of the EPS one, because you have the EPS console. And if you got that at Epic 14, you're getting plenty from the EPS console to more than make up for it. So that's one of those things that you can look at doing there. So, any other questions?
I think that should do it.
Okay.
I did manage to get a copy of Self-Modulating Fire personal trades. Is that worth running?
I would say it is, actually, especially when you don't have like the pin mods. That'd be a good alternative that you can throw in place of it. And that might be something you might look at doing, is eventually get into crafted anti-protons, replacing each one of these with a new crafted anti-proton weapon. Get like damage times 2 pins, or crit D times 2 pins. I'd recommend the damage times 2 pins, honestly. Those will be a little more reliant on the DPS instead of having to worry about the crits going on all the time. Because when you do a crit D setup, you're actually hoping and setting yourself up so that you're going to have higher crit D versus lower crit D. And you're going to be missing, you got chances, so you're going to have one really great run that you can end up having, or you're going to have one really poor run. But a damage times 2 pin setup would negate both aspects of that, and you'll be more even because you're not relying on something that you're hoping is going to happen. Okay.
Right.
So that's the reason to go with a damage times 2 pin, is hoping for that that kind of arrangement to occur and go on, so that you get a more static aspect of things. So, but that's my recommendation there. The other thing, like I said, if you come on this channel here and you go in the main room and you join some of the guys up there for a ISA run, you'll find yourself running some very good people here in this team speak, and that goes the same for anyone else out there that wants to get a good group of people that you run with. Voice.pilotreviewshow.com for those who are wondering what our TeamSpeak is. anyone's welcome to come join it. We got people here during a lot of times. The busiest hours that you see with us is going to be in the evenings, obviously, because that's when everyone's getting home from work in the American side. Um, it's when you see me a lot on here as well. So, but you just get on, catch some of the guys, and you'll get yourself 3 people or 4 people who know exactly what they're doing. There's a couple of science guys in there that can help you out with knowing when to use your stuff, because that's the other thing you have to learn is when to use like your gravity wells. Obviously, the best time to use it is when those nanite spheres come out,
Oh yeah.
so you can group them up. You launch it on there. You have your torpedo set so that it does not launch with everything else. And then after a couple seconds of your gravity well going off, if you got no other torpedo runners in there, torpedo spread, launch your torpedoes, and watch them die. Okay, that's probably the best way to really group them up and make them really pain for having grouped up so well for you. So you launch your gravity well on both sides and the nanite spheres, and you'll be just fine on that aspect of things. So
Okay.
that's when you use like a gravity well, and I say, or any other instance that happens to group up like that, you want to launch your gravity well and then use your torpedo spread 3 just to throw in the extra pain, because we call it the blender. That's essentially what it becomes when it gets done. And if you got like the gravity metric or the enhanced bioneural or even the neutronic, then you got that option to go with. And if you can get a hold of chemosite, okay, you throw that's going to be a little expensive, but the chemosite also has an area of effect explosions going on. So, but that chemosite is expensive. I won't say go get it. You need it. You must have it. It is not a must-have, but when it has a 100% proc chance on a torpedo spread versus like a 10% chance on fire at will, it can become a very useful tool, and you'll find yourself very beneficial from that alone, because some people's had 10 to 60k DPS from chemosite, 60k being the top of what happened during the time that it was bugged and broken, and you can stack yourself up with 6 chemosites. You want to know about that, go ask Tanky about that up in the main room right now. He's the 17 Hallelujah. He's also known as Tankia, and he stacked on max amount of chemosites onto one of his ships that he has. So that's some of those things. If you can get a hold of it, great. If not, I wouldn't sweat it. It's not worth 90 million. For all you out there selling it, it's not worth it. Not worth it at 90 million, maybe 40 for it, but 90 million to the ridiculous high prices that it is beyond reason. So, if you got no other questions, we'll let you go.
Alrighty.
So, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. See you later.